1865, the 13th Amendment banned slavery, and the 14th Amendment guaranteed citizenship to those formerly enslaved.
In 1868, it was passed and promised equal protection under the law.
Defending the 15th Amendment, however, could tear the movement and friendships apart.
All three leaders were pushing for suffrage for both women and African Americans, but the 15th only promised suffrage and voting rights to black males, not women, black or white.
This presented a dilemma.
Do we support the 15th?
Or protest until women are added.
Perhaps the crisis could be averted.
Perhaps these three longtime friends and allies could find a resolution. They find a way through this dilemma and narrow paths.
A way that included us all before it was too late. Do you?
No. You really think?
Anywhere?
No, I don't think so.
Hello there, ladies. And how's your afternoon going then?
Has a Negro man coming yet? Probably well dressed.
Probably.
An older gentleman with a good beard.
Do you need protection? I can get a
Oh,
policeman
no,
here.
no. He's a friend. We're waiting for a friend. He's with us. May we order something while we wait?
Of course. Take a table and I'll be back for your order.
Nothing like mentioning money to calm a man down.
Poor Frederick. We almost had the police on him.
Catching him between trains. This might be our last chance. Oh, this is so urgent.
Calm. He's our friend, Susan. We've had some rough moments, yes, but we are friends. Just have a little faith in that. Nothing will ever change us three.
So, better now?
Fine. For now, at least. Tea? And you have cake.
Hi, Mum. We have goose cake, we have sponge cake, and something new called hummingbird cake.
Is it made with hummingbirds? Poor things.
I'm not much familiar with it myself, Mum, but it's quite popular. It has nuts, I'm sure.
It sounds exotic.
Like something Frederick would like.
Setting for 3. English tea. Cream and sugar on the side. We're expecting one more. And I think I'll have some hummingbird cake, please. Thank you. Elizabeth?
Oh, no dead hummingbirds for me.
Linen? Oh, yes. Frederick always wants to leave his tea.
I've never seen him drink tea.
Will that be all?
Yes. All for now.
Very good. Ladies.
Would you like cake?
At home? But if I have to go out, look at this. I can't even breathe. At the Seneca Convention, we should have outlawed these damn courses when we had the chance.
I'm wearing bloomers. I can even garden them. And they take a shorter skirt.
Oh, look at you and at your age.
Oh, and yours.
Has Frederick seen them?
Oh, I think he'd approve. He says corsets are an oppressive device by the white man to slowly suffocate women so they can't speak out.
Right he is, too.
Will that be all then, missus?
For now, yes. We have another on the way.
So, how should we start? Quick, we won't get a second chance, that's for sure.
Well, he's just a mortal man. And we've been friends forever. Decades. We have worked and struggled and argued side by side for the same goal in what seems like forever.
Look at him. How he's changed. I'm worried, Susan. Something's changed in him. I don't know what it is, but he's forgotten us. We've struggled together. We've gotten old together. But we can't let each other grow apart. We can't let our dreams grow apart. Frederick was a part of those dreams. His fight was our fight, and our fight was his fight. Now he's famous or infamous or something. He's our friend, our ally, and as a friend, we can't just let him drift away from us like this.
Frederick does. And he's our friend, like you said. Now, we'll find a way. We'll bring up old times. Battle stories like association. Oh, you were almost killed. Exactly. And Rudolph Steinway. We were all.
That's dangerous if he brings up George Train and the Democrats and gets himself all worked into a rage.
We're fighting for our living. And here we are, having to beg a man for his goodwill again. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Even if it's him, it never ends. Kansas City. We were all there and no one tried to kill us that time.
Yes! How tall!
And his newspaper, the North Star, everyone used to read.
That's tricky. There's the business with George Train again, and my newspaper, The Revolution.
Elizabeth, you called Negroes Samuels, Germans Huns, Irish mix. I mean, what were you thinking?
That was then. This is now. And it wasn't even his newspaper. It was meant to be a woman's newspaper. He has his own voice. We needed a voice of our own. He doesn't understand that. No one does. Oh, he'll be here any minute, and there's all these little fires to put out. It's so easy for this to all go wrong.
Lizzie, I think we need more time.
What? Oh, Frederick! Oh, over here. Lizzie, look, it's Frederick.
Ladies.
Waiter, could you fetch a chair for our friend, please? No, well, none of that. Waiter, we require a chair, sir. Sir, can you hear me?
It's all right, Susan. I'll be fine.
Waiter, a word.
Yes, missus? What may I bring you?
Do you serve common courtesy here? Is it on the menu? Did I miss it?
Excuse me.
Our gentleman friend is a distinguished man of letters. He has written several popular books, and he is the owner and publisher of a local newspaper. Have you ever read the North Star? Or the Douglas Monthly, a very highly read gazette?
Never did.
No doubt.
And he writes reviews of hotels and restaurants in his newspaper. So I suggest you attend.
Now, sir.
So,
I hear you have excellent coffee.
well, you'll take it black, I suppose.
White sugar. Fresh white cream. Well, hey, look, I'm sure you understand.
I'm so sorry.
Well, it can be worse. If I were back in Baltimore, sitting alone with two white women, I'd be on my merry way to a broken lamp pole by now. Well, I guess black it is.
Here, cream and sugar to spare. Goodness, this place.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Susan, whatever do you have there?
You must try it.
Food of the gods. What is that?
Hummingbird cake.
No, really.
No, it is. It's hummingbird cake.
Are there hummingbirds in it?
Watch out for little bones.
Frederick, do you remember when we first met?
I'm trying to remember what that was. You get a little older and things slip away.
Oh, you don't remember it all? I made you that peach cobbler, and we talked to each other over the rail pits. I was so nervous the day I met you, I almost didn't speak to you at all.
Because I'm a black man?
Oh, no, because you're so famous. And an author and an orator. My father used to talk about you all the time. He used to quote you to me. I thought you were made of marble.
I'm only made of clay, same as anyone else, especially my feet.
Before you arrived, I was talking to Lizzie about Association Hall.
The good old days.
We've come a long way since people wanted to kill us for the things we said and stood for.
Well, we're still in those days, and nothing has changed. Nothing. Name a town or a village in this nation where there's not someone eager to stop our cause with blood if necessary.
Power, Frederick. They're always threatened by anyone who demands their fair share in equality. And equality's the worst, have you noticed that? Politicians do not give up their power once they have it. And here's how they keep it. As long as there are poor blacks or desolate women, a politico can say to the poor white man, well, at least you're better than a Negro, or a woman, or a dog. Doesn't it ever worry you that a riding mob will try to kill you again?
If people are angry enough to want to kill you, well, at least you know where they stand. But a friend that'll stab you in the back, those are the most dangerous. Yeah.
It was an anti-slavery speech and an anti-abolitionist mob that just went wild like wolves, I swear, Liz, and we had to run for our lives.
Absolutely. We found a storage room with the lock right upstage, and we would not be sitting here with you today. God's own truth. They tried to smoke us out by putting pepper in the stove. Pepper! It was wonderful.
They were shooting through the door. Really? 3 gunshots. A bullet went right by my ear. It sounded like a mad bee. Finally, the management came to chase them away before they could burn the place down. Oh, Lord.
I don't suppose they asked you back to speak.
Oh, no, not at all.
I swear, you and Frederick, running for your lives, chased by howling mobs, with guns. What fun! And all the while, I had to stay home with the children. I'm such a bore. When will I get to have adventures? You have to take me along so I can run for my life too.
My advice, don't run in the forest.
Bloomers are much better for running.
It was a night.
Frederick, have you heard anything from your family? Heard anything from Lewis?
Yes, thank you. My son's battle wound still hurts, and he walks with the limp as he always will. But he wears it like glory. But by God, he is alive. And writes that I am a grandfather as of July. A bouncing baby boy.
Oh, wonderful. I hope he has his handsome grandfather's handsome straight nose.
I hope he has his mother's nose, broad and defiant, like a Zulu warrior. Sir.
Well, that's it. I've had enough of that man. I'm going to speak to someone.
Susan, please, just let it go.
It's on the house, sir. So you don't go gathering up all of this escape now. And look, a fork a year already owned. If you don't mind me asking, what's this you're saying now about your boy? He was one of them in the war and got himself shot through?
Yes, my son Lewis. He was a sergeant major in the 54th Massachusetts Infantry. And yes, he was gravely wounded in the assault of Battery Wagner in South Carolina.
Oh, so it was the Battery Wagner fight then, so. I'll tell you, I was a Union boy instead.
Ladies, a moment, please. Sir, come, tell me, the war, it confronts us all.
69th New York Infantry Regiment S. The fight in Irish at New York and Wicked over 5 points. Bloody Gettysburg was for yours truly. A feckin' man's hornet's nest in 3 days of it, no lie. There I was, in the shite high as the arse and upside down, under the bonny green banner of the Irish harp. So your dad's got nothing on me. 54th Volunteers, so you say he was. Well, ain't that grand. You know, I saw the 54th passes by once a time in Tennessee. Scared like a bunch of Hindus at the board, but word was they could fight like terriers and hit the piss out of anybody. Hey, it's me and him's talking now.
It's all right, Elizabeth. It's all right. Just give us another moment.
I don't like you. You think you're some big swell or some shit. But I like your boy already. Any man who can stand upright and proper and take his wounds to the front for this great country, well, I'll call him a mate of mine, shake his hand and buy him a pint, so I will. Now you tell him Finton O'Donoghue, County Clerk ARI, and says hello. That's who it is. You tell him that now. Warrior to warrior. Brother to brother. Amen.
I promise. And thank you, Mr. Donahue. Thank you.
What's a queer and uncivilized world it is where such sons like me and him can get shot through for this country? Can't get a poaching, huh?
Indeed it is.
And what about women? What about women voting and running for president someday?
Bollocks, man. It'd be a cold day in hell for a girl leading runs this country.
What did he say? Or was he speaking to us? And what did he say to you?
No matter. Just a soldier needed his vote. Now, ladies, dear ladies, my dear friends, my trusted friends, my grand old friends, I'm old enough to know when I'm being lathered for a shave. Come now, bring forth the razor and speak your minds.
Frederick.
Yes?
The amendment.
The amendment. What amendment is that?
The 15th.
The 15th. The 15th.
The 15th Amendment.
Would that be the one that comes after the 14th?
Oh, stop this. This is us, Frederick, and we don't feel supported by you. And you know why, and you know what we're asking. The 15th Amendment is coming up for a vote any day. And we need women to be involved in this.
You already have my answer from before. No.
You're not even giving us a chance.
It will sink the ship. Our ship. The ark we've built together.
No, your ship. Your precious ship. You were happy enough to get them to change the 14th Amendment in your favor. Yes, only in your favor. In your favor. The rights of citizens shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on the account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Race or color, not sex. You left us out in the cold. One word, Frederick. One little word. 3 little letters, and it would be universal suffrage. Are you afraid of one tiny word? You, the great orator.
Yes. One little word of 3 letters will sink the ship. Why can't I be lynched in the South for simply sitting at a table with you? Because there is no vote, there is no law against lynching. And why is that? Votes. Another little word for you. If we ask for universal suffrage, the bill will crash, the ship will sink, the flag will fall. We will never get Democrats to vote for it at all, and half the Republicans will break and run for fear of being called immoral family destroyers. All for demanding that women have the vote, and then the Negro and women vote shall have nothing. It is greed, it is impatient. This is the Negro child.
Race, color, or sex, Frederick. One little word.
It is the Negro's hour.
One little word. That's all we ask. And it will be universal, man and woman, white and colored. You were the champion of your people, and we stood with you. Stand with us now. If you fail us now, when we need you the most, you will regret that decision for the rest of your life. It will be a curse.
How hard was it for me to get them to remove that one little word male from the 14th Amendment? All male inhabitants, it said.
And you did. And you were brilliant. Hurrah!
Brilliant. Hurrah. And yet there was no word that saved my saber brothers of the South who were being lynched daily because there was no law of man forbidding it, even though every law of God cries out against it. That is the difference. That is all the difference.
Yet every law of God cries out that man and woman are equal since the Garden of Eden. And women should stand by men as equals, free equals. Words, Frederick. Words are so important.
Laws are all made up of these little words. And a law can sometimes evoke justice. A word of only 3 letters long can liberate half the human beings in this country. Sex! You are the master of words. You did it once. Do it again for us. You convinced them to remove a word. Now get them to add one. Sex, race, color, or sex. Universal suffrage, Frederick. One word creates one perfect humanity. Is it so hard to shoulder that one tiny word? Are you so afraid of it?
Lynching is not a tiny word. It's a huge word. It is the very shout of evil, this 15th Amendment you accuse me of being so cavalier about. You don't understand the stakes. You only think you do. I'll tell you the stakes. I'll spell them out in little words for you. 1.
Frederick.
You do not have the same urgency in getting the women to ballot as to the Negro. In 15 states of the Union, it is life and death for us. Life and death, Susan. When you women, because you are women, are hunted down in New Orleans or Georgia or even New York City, when you ladies are dragged from this restaurant and hanged from a lamp pole outside for the crime of pleasantly sitting with a black man, when your children are dragged from your arms and their brains are bashed out on the pavement in front of you, when they are the object of insult and outrage at every turn, when they are in danger of being burned alive in their own homes, when your children are not allowed to enter a school or even a church, then and only then would your urgency be equal to our own. You are fighting for only your rights. My people are fighting for their very lives.
But is this not also true of black women?
Yes, but not because they are women, but because they are black.
Yes, but with all of your talk, would you trade places with a woman, white or black, depend on a man to represent you and your team? Would you?
That's impossible.
That's not the point, Frederick, and you know it. If black women are granted suffrage, not because they're black, but because they're women, they will just be trading in a white slave master for a black one. No man, black or white, can respect a woman if she is solely dependent upon him. Women have learned that it's impossible for even the best of men, even you, Frederick, with all that you suffered, to understand a woman's feelings or the humiliation of our position. We shouldn't even have to ask or beg you for any of this, but we must, because you are men. You've forgotten us. You've only been working on black voting rights, but you've forgotten women's suffrage. You've gotten comfortable with yourself. Comfortable. We were not born to be comfortable. We were born to agitate, irritate, infuriate, not become any of us. And you've gotten comfortable. That's how dreams die, Frederick. By being comfortable. There's only one ship sinking here. Our dreams. Don't let that ship sink, please.
The problem is not dreams, Susan. The problem is night. Fear. People are afraid. Have you forgotten that we've just gotten through a war where people died? A war that tore this nation apart. And it wasn't so women could have the vote. It was so Negroes could be free and equal. Just so we could be regarded as human beings in the image of God, and not 3/5 of a human being. How much do you think you could take? They are afraid. And when people are afraid, they pull in, they throw away their freedom like trash, they let criminals into Washington who tell them what they want to hear. Do you know what I've learned about humanity? People say they want to be, but deep down inside, they are terrified of being truly free. Save your ship? What about my ship? I'm the one that's trying to save that ship by being sensible.
Then save it, Frederick. Fear, if people are so afraid, this may be the last chance before they shrink back into their comfortable shells.
Yes, their comfortable shells.
For all the reasons you say, that this may be the last chance left for any of us until the universe turns round again, and the world is turning on us so fast. This chance for the Negroes' equality and the women's liberation together, both together, each from our vicious masters, this chance may never come again in our lifetimes.
That is why we must be careful. The 13th Amendment gave the Negro his freedom, the 14th his citizenship.
But not her freedom from slavery, not her citizenship.
Comfortable, sensible, careful people. Those who are worried about tarnishing their reputations and social standing, and you know this yourself, can never bring about reform or revolution in this world. Are you one of them now? Are you awake? Are you still a man? Where is the passion? Where is that man that stood with me in that room while the mob was howling for our blood at the door? Where is that passionate man? Those who are passionate for a dream, a ship of dreams, must be willing to be all or nothing in this world's opinion, alone or in public, in season or in out. They must be willing to just stand in that arena and bear persecuted ideas and deal with the consequences. Are you still that man? Are you? We can't trust men. Not any of you. All these men, not only you, who pushed us out of the way for years, saying, this is the Negro's hour. This is the Negro's hour. And then, when we look for help in other places, you cursed at us. No one will give up their power without a fight. This is our fight.
You're talking about that idiot George Train. He hates the Negro. He hates me, and yet you align yourself with him as soon as he promised to take on your cause and give you a newspaper of your own with his filthy money.
At least he's helping us. He believes in women's liberation. What are you doing? Sleeping?
You called us Sambos. You called my people nappy-headed Sambos in your newspaper for all to read.
Are we to always be at the bottom of everything?
Sambos!
Oh, for God's sake, Susan, talk to him!
Sambos! I read it, and I threw down the newspaper and wiped my feet on it. I danced on it. It made me weep. It made me curse God. I thought you out of anyone would know better. Did George Train tell you to write that? Did he? Huh? Calling German tongues and Chinese young tongues and Negroes nappy-headed Sambos? Is that you? God only knows what you write about me or say about me when I'm not around. And you have the audacity, the unmitigated gall to say I'm the one not supporting your cause, women. She has 10,000 ways of grappling with her difficulties, but you're making a deal with the devil and it will shatter your cause. Mark me.
In New Jersey, they have a law that says a man can dispose of his child any way he chooses, and the mother has no say.
If they divorce, he can be the vilest brute on earth, and the children and property are hers. And the mother will be homeless and probably have to sell her body on the street to survive. Except for Kansas, this law exists in every state of the union. A married woman can own property, enter into a contract, control her own wages, her own earnings, for God's sake, or the fruit of her womb. It is the law.
Another little word, like Sambo's.
The law. The law and justice are not the same. Justice is from God and nature, but the law is from man. And the law is unfair. It is the law. It's not justice. It's not the second cousin of justice. It's the law. And the men who make those laws must be accountable. We must be able to vote. We can change this law for all of us. Do this.
We will change the law. But now is the Negro's hour. All good causes are mutually beneficial, and I haven't abandoned you or anyone. Your time will come, but right now you are fighting for only your rights. We black men are dying. They're killing us. Go to the States. Bring your cases to the States. There are other ways other than endangering this vote.
The States. The States. Every time it comes up for a vote in the States, we fail. It must be federal. It must be. We can fight this together. We can win it all together.
No.
Together.
No, I said. Ask me again, I dare.
Susan, he's being impossible.
You're being impossible. What you're asking is impossible. You shall stop this now.
Shall? Did he just say shall?
You shall not. There.
Shall. Oh, you Coriolanus. You are so well read. You'll overthrow the peasants. You Triton of minnows. You and your imperious shall. We don't need you. We shall not need you.
Beware, Susan. Don't say anything you can't unspeak.
Unspeak. Oh, I shall speak my mind. You asked me one time why I never married. Because I lived with my sister. I saw how marriage shrank her, reduced her. A man in his imperious shall spoke to her the way you just spoke to me. And I said, never. Never will I allow a man to tell me what I shall and shall not do. Not you, Frederick. I never thought of you. But you're the same. You're ordinary. Ordinary.
I did not come here to be insulted. You will not call me that.
Oh, I shall. You are an ordinary man. And an ordinary man can't understand the heart and feelings of a woman, can't understand the humiliation of her position, of her servitude, of her hidden pain. How that word blunts her will and makes her dreams, and her mind and her spirit small. I say, a woman shall have wings that will raise her above this earth, and no man will clip her wings with that word. I say.
Why do you persist? Have you lost your minds?
Say shall again. I dare you.
Dare me. You dare me? I dare you. unspeakable enslavement. Beatings every sunrise and sunset. I made myself alone. I did it. With no help from anyone. You dare call me ordinary and comfortable, who risk everything every day that I speak up? Every day that I walk out as a free man, march me in the face of my enemies to be hung and burned alive. That is not comfortable.
We don't need him, Susan. You suffered, Frederick, but only enough to save your own people. Goodbye. I don't imagine you'll see us again. We'll do this without you. You have betrayed us. Betrayed. How long must we wait? 5 years? 10? Never? If you leave us behind, it could be years, Frederick. Women must be included. They must be. You have given your people the ear of the powerful. Now, lend us your voice.
I've betrayed no one. No one. But you, Susan, you asked me to betray those still in the deepest despair. You asked me to betray all those that came before me and will come after me. I will not. I cannot.
You must. Damn it, do you think women don't despair?
My God, I shall not.
You must. Oh, I thought you knew. I thought you knew. You don't. Goodbye. Mr. Douglas. Goodbye.
I cannot. I cannot.
The women's rights movement split in two. Stanton and Anthony led one group, advocating for an amendment at the federal level.
Lucy Stone and Frederick Douglass worked with another to pursue women's suffering at a state level. I fought for women's suffrage for the next 50 years. In 1872, I voted illegally for the presidential election here in Rochester, New York. I was arrested, tried, and convicted. When I died in 1906, women still did not have the right to vote. American women gained the right to vote with the passage of the 19th Amendment, ratified in 1920. It said, the right of citizens shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex.
In practice, the 19th Amendment didn't stop states from passing laws that prevented women of color from voting. Much like the 15th Amendment failed to protect the vote of recently enfranchised Black Americans.
Despite the ratification of the 15th Amendment in 1870, many states used legal and illegal means to prevent Black men, and after 1920, Black women from voting. Violence, intimidation, poll taxes, grandfather clauses, white-only primaries, and literacy tests that disenfranchised most Black voters, especially in the South.
Literacy test.
It was up to election officials to administer the tests, if they chose to. Alabama used a section of its state constitution. A white voter might be given a section like this to read and explain. Quote, Section 20, that no one shall be imprisoned for debt, end quote.
A black voter might be given this passage to read and explain. Income arising from the 16th section trust fund, the surplus revenue fund, so it's called for it, and so forth.
And sometimes the sections had to be written out by hand, and sometimes they had to be written for dictation. Written questions often followed.
Poll taxes.
Poll taxes applied to both white and black voters, so it affected poor white voters.
Grandfather clauses allowed a way around this dilemma by allowing any adult male whose grandfather had voted prior to emancipation to vote without paying tax or having to pass the literacy test.
Which eliminated any previous enslaved male
and Native Americans, who didn't gain the right to vote until 1924, which they won by going state by state by state.
The last state that fully guaranteed Native rights was Utah in 1962.
Except for some special state rules like banning folks who lived on reservations.
Or enrolled in a tribe.
Or who couldn't pass a literacy test.
or who couldn't pay a poll tax.
And Asian Americans, it wasn't until 1943 that Chinese immigrants could even begin naturalizing as U.S. citizens.
Finally, in 1964, the 24th Amendment was ratified, forbidding the use of poll taxes in federal elections.
But it took the civil rights movement of the 60s and voter registration campaigning to finally address Jim Crow.
Said campaigning was often marked with violence, brutality, and sometimes murder, particularly in the South.
In response, Lyndon Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act of 1965, banning poll taxes and grandfather clauses and providing federal oversight.
In 1971, driven by the Vietnam War and the large number of 19-year-old draftees who could die for the country but not vote, the 26th Amendment was ratified, lowering the voting age from 21 to 18.
However,
in 2013, the Supreme Court ruled Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act unconstitutional. States with a history of voter suppression that previously had to seek federal approval for changes to their election process no longer had to do so.
since then, 23 states have enacted voter ID requirements, closed polling stations, and limited voting hours.
Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, descended from the decision, wrote that throwing out pre-clearance when it has worked and continued to work to stop discriminatory changes is like throwing away your umbrella in a rainstorm because you're not getting wet.
The struggle for voting rights continues.